Vowel is the most popular remote working product of 2020. Trello has a huge redesign that takes the product beyond the board, and Amazon acquires a Shopify competitor. That and more on this week's PLG123. Let's dive in. Tab 1. Tab 1 is from Product Hunt and is about the #1 remote working product of 2020. So here's what happened. Every year, the Product Hunt community votes on the top products for the year across a variety of categories for their annual Golden Kitty Awards. This year was the 6th annual Golden Kitties, and one of the most buzzed about product categories was remote work, for obvious reasons. This is a category in which products like Zoom apps and actually came in runner-up, which speaks to the stiff competition in this category. So who did get the crown for the IT product in the IT category for 2020? And the answer is Vowel. So here's why this matters. Vowel describes the problem they're solving in remote work as follows. There are lots of screen sharing and video conferencing solutions, whether it's from Zoom or Microsoft or Google or other large vendors, but they're all kind of the same at the end of the day. They're great for facilitating a remote meeting, but it's up to you to make sure it's a good meeting and a productive meeting. We're all sitting in these meetings, scribbling notes and getting off track and forgetting what was said half the time, and it's enough to make you just throw your hands up and give up. Look, I've been there as well, but Vowel is here to help. Vowel isn't just another video conferencing tool. There's enough of those out there. It's a collaboration platform to help you run more productive meetings. Vowel automatically transcribes your meetings, allows you to mark decisions that were made, and assign action items as follow-ups to the attendees. But the coolest thing that I saw in the product was the search. If you remember a brilliant point that was made by a colleague in a meeting a couple weeks ago, but you forgot to write it down, guilty as charged, Vowel's powerful search lets you find that exact moment in that exact meeting, both the transcript and the audio and video. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. Vowel is clearly a very cool product that has captured the hearts and minds of tech early adopters on Product Hunt, as evidenced by its Golden Kitty Award. And after having spent a little bit of time with the product, I can see why people are so excited. The big question here for me long-term is Zoom. Zoom clearly has the brand awareness and the user base, and the question is, will Zoom apps and the ability to integrate existing productivity and collaboration tools be sufficient for most users? Tab 2. Tab 2 is from Protocol and is about the new and improved Trello. So here's what happened. Trello shipped a big new release of their product, and the internet had a lot of thoughts. Trello describes the theme of this launch as going beyond the board, which if you've used Trello for more than 2 seconds, you know that there are two fundamental components to the product, which is cards and boards. So by saying the new Trello is going beyond the board, Trello is signaling that it's time to evolve. And the biggest innovation really seems to be around the card itself. The first big change is that anything can be a card. It's no longer just a native object within Trello. You can have a Jira ticket that's a card, a YouTube video can be a card, a file from Google Drive can be a card. The list goes on. And secondly, cards are more interactive and dynamic. The same card can live in multiple boards but be synchronized across all of them. Cards can be updated in real time through integrations to external data sources, and even an entire Trello board can now be a card on another board. So it's very meta, but also very cool. All of this underscores Trello's ambitions to move beyond being just a productivity tool to being your work management hub no matter where the data lives. So here's why this matters. Trello was acquired by Atlassian back in 2017 for $425 million. And at the time, Trello had a stranglehold on the market for cool productivity tools that everybody wanted to use. And in my view, Trello was one of the first mass market B2B software products that garnered a large audience of millions of users, both in the workplace as well as outside of the workplace with prosumer and even consumer use cases. And the user numbers of Trello continue to be impressive, with well over 50 million users on the product today, pointing to this continued ubiquity. But a lot has happened in the last 4 years since the acquisition of Trello, and much of the feedback on the internet about the new Trello is drawing comparisons to other productivity tools like Monday.com and Airtable. And when you get into the broader messaging around work management, it does remind me of Slack's own messaging about being the work OS. So there's an even broader set of tools going after this user problem. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. Even with all of these various players going after the future of work, my money is still on Trello because that kind of ubiquity and that kind of product love and of brand affinity for a business software product is hard to come by. And it is a powerful platform on which you can build, and it's also one that's very hard to replicate. Tab 3. Tab 3 is from CNBC and is about Amazon's acquisition of a Shopify competitor. So here's what happened. Amazon is turning up the heat on Shopify by acquiring a direct competitor called Sells. The deal was closed quietly back on January 15th, and Amazon has been very hush-hush about it. And if you look at this announcement by the CEO of Sells, it's about the length of a tweet. So Amazon and company is very clearly keeping everything about this deal intentionally under wraps. And apparently it's because this goes all the way up to Jeff Bezos in terms of its importance. And it's interesting to note that Amazon didn't acquire the target that many people would have pointed to as being the rival to Shopify, which is BigCommerce. So here's why this matters. Coming out of the pandemic, there are two big dogs in the e-commerce world. Amazon, which is the everything store online, and Shopify is the leading platform for any brand to sell directly to consumers online. And for a long time, these two players weren't directly competitive with one another. After all, many Shopify brands also list their products on Amazon in order to get that reach, and even the largest single brand on Shopify pales in comparison to the traffic and the GMV that Amazon sees on a daily basis. But Shopify has been moving from SaaS platform to full-fledged e-commerce juggernaut, and they've also been creating a destination for consumers with the Shop app. Combine this with Shopify's push into logistics, which is a challenge to fulfillment by Amazon, and it's led Amazon to adopt a somewhat defensive posture in e-commerce for the first time in a long time. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. Again, there is very little information that's been disclosed about this acquisition, so keep your eye on everything in relation to the Sells deal. I am going to be fascinated with seeing what Amazon does unveil relatively soon. And is there validity to the argument that Amazon and Shopify are on a collision course and it's only a matter of time before it gets a lot more heated? Well, that does it for this week on the PLG123. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn for more daily PLG content, and stay tuned for our weekly episode drops of the PLG123 coming at you right here on LinkedIn. Hope you all are having a great week, and take care.